Nobody puts baby in a corner.
Hello, my friend, and welcome to the Sales Podcast. You're in for a treat today with Mrs. Darnyelle Jervey Harmon, newlywed, big-time achiever who burned the box. About that and how we got into putting baby in the corner. That all kind of wrong, but she saved me. That's what she does. She helps entrepreneurs, especially women, find their and save their dream, achieve their dream. The cushy job in corporate America and failed, right? She leave and everything was perfect. She left. She failed. She dusted herself off. She accepted the sack and came back bigger and stronger. So I think you're in for a treat. You're going to enjoy this episode despite, once again, goodness gracious, I'm still looking. I'm looking for one of you. It might be you. Listen to this right now. Sitting right there where you are. That is an electrical audio genius. Nobody in years tell me why this audio, you'll hear my voice be really deep. It doesn't slow it down. It just makes me deep. The guests are always fine. It's got to be my microphone. That's all I can figure out. But I had 4 views on the day I did this. The first one was fine for them. My voice is super deep, and nobody knows why. But if I unplug my microphone and replug it in, I don't know. Oh, well, the show must go on. You know what I'm saying? But if you know what my was in that, please let me know. And I think I remember unplugged, but I don't. And even though I was doing them back to back, right, and nothing changed, I was thinking, everything's the same. I don't need to unplug, but I do. I don't know. So you'll hear me with my super deep, Barry White voice. But people say they like it. I don't know. I even asked my guests, I'm like, does my voice sound okay? I should not sound like Barry White. And they say yes. So maybe they don't know who Barry White sounds. But oh well, first world problems. Darnyelle really is good. She gave a great TEDx talk. She's an author, an entrepreneur, coach. And she overcame a lot. You know, make your misery your ministry. And that's what she has helped to do. If you're having some misery at work, if you're having some sales, why don't you come hang out at the Make Every Sale, makeeverysale.com. Right now, you get unlimited access for 8 weeks for one price. And then you can stay plugged in for $97 a month. Come check it out. Your satisfaction, you know what? I'll guarantee your success if plug in, if you go through everything, if you document your work. You literally cannot fail to grow if you enroll and apply yourself. This is the only place where you can ask questions. This is the only community I know of where the founder and organizer is on every week. Not outsourced, not bringing in trainers, not bringing in guests. It's me. You can ask questions, and I'll help you grow. Been in sales full-time since 2011. I've had the Sales Whisperer since 2006. So been putting food on the table for a family of 9 as the sole provider. So the things I show you, help you work through, are things that are not theoretical. These are things that work, okay? Because I'm doing them right along with you. So come join us, would you? Make every sale done. Now let's bring on our guest, Darnyelle Harmon from Delaware, burning your box. About that, all right? So get ready. Welcome to the Sales Podcast.
Hi there. How you guys doing?
So I was watching your TEDx talk, in the box. What's that one? Nobody puts, was it bunny one? Nobody puts such and such in a box. Now I'm drawing a blank.
Oh, you're talking about Dirty Dancing? No one puts baby in the corner?
Baby in the box. That's right. Thanks for saving me. My heater on. Hold on. It actually does get cold in California. Space heater. Ooh, that thing. It was cooking me. So what's going on? TEDx talk. You've got business coaching. So we got incredible1enterprises.com, but I don't know. That kind of says what you do, but I think you're more than just one URL, aren't you?
I am kind of more than just one URL. I mean, like that the company is Incredible One Enterprises, but like any great business person and marketer, you create key messages and you turn them into URLs so that people can find you based on the problem they're most trying to solve right now.
Right. So what was your background? Were you in sales? Were you an entrepreneur? What happened? How did you get to this spot?
So I am a vice president of business development in corporate America, Fortune 500, turned Mary Kay Cosmetics Pink Cadillac sales director, turned nonprofit organization Women Business Center director, turned entrepreneur, and here we are today.
So you didn't like the whole Fortune 500 thing?
You know what? When I first went to corporate America, I thought I would be there until I retired. But one day I realized that I didn't like sitting behind someone else's desk. Like it wasn't the highest and best use of my talent and my energy, but it was a great training ground and I wouldn't trade it for the world. I think it makes me the entrepreneur I am today to have worked in that type of an environment and learned so many things about business. But I wasn't making a difference. I worked in a credit card company. I was a manager, like waiving late fees and talking to the people that wanted to speak to a manager. Like I wasn't changing the world in any way whatsoever. Yeah. And I got a glimpse of what life outside of corporate America is like. Because when I was still in corporate, I started working my Mary Kay Cosmetics business and started going to their annual seminars and, getting bit by this whole purpose-driven business thing and was like, there's got to be more to life than sitting behind someone else's desk. And that was like really the beginning of it for me, realizing that there was so much more than I ever thought was possible. I think that expansion or exposure creates expansion. Once you've been exposed to something new, your mind is expanded to new possibilities. And that's exactly what happened for me.
So it's hard though. I mean, we're told, go to a good school, get a degree, go work at a big company, climb the corporate ladder, get yourself a mortgage, or in debt with some fancy cars, maybe install a pool, buy yourself a chair, then you're stuck.
Right, exactly.
Right?
And you hate your life. Like I didn't love it anymore. I can remember the exact day, Wes. It was December the 17th, 2004. It was what I call a Keith Sweat kind of day. For those of you who know the singer Keith Sweat, he's got a song, Something, Something, Something Just Ain't Right. It was one of those kind of days.
I'm going to go look him up now. All right.
Yeah, I literally woke up and I was like, I can't do this another day. The car wasn't worth it. Like I was selling my soul for the nice car and the nice house. But it wasn't feeding me. There had to be more to life than that. And I was willing to give it all up to figure out how to be happy in my life. And I think, and I know you can definitely identify with this, sometimes you got to be willing to lose it all in order to gain everything.
It sounds good. It sounds wonderful. Credits roll. It was so obvious and empowering. A clear choice. She had to do it. It worked out so well. Ring. What? The washing machine broke. What?
Right. Exactly. Bankruptcy. What?
What?
You didn't pay your bills? Yeah.
Go back to my desk.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe next year. After the kids get out of school. After we pick the car. We've been saving for this vacation.
Yeah, it'll never be the right time. It'll never be the right time. Like you have to, I forget who says it, but you have to, jump and then build wings on the way down. Like build the parachute while you're jumping or whatever the saying is. Like for me, I've always been a big dreamer. In fact, my name means the secret place where dreamers go to dream. And I've always been a what's the worst that can happen kind of girl. So the worst thing that could happen is I could get a job. I would have to get a job. And I did. So I left corporate America in 2004. I did my Mary Kay Cosmetics business full time for 3 years. At the end of 2007, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to start my own company. Because what I realized is all I had done is trade one desk for another. I was still only being paid what somebody else deemed me to be worth. And I was doing a lot of work for a little. Like, if you're going to hustle that hard, you ought to be able to have unlimited earning potential for real. And, I don't want to say that it's a bag of beans that they sell you, but it's unlimited earning potential within the parameters that they've set for you, as opposed to yourself. So for instance, the month we finished my pink Cadillac, it was September 2007. We did $60,000 wholesale, which is equivalent to $120,000 retail. If I were in my own business, I would have had $120,000 at the end of working that hard. But the commission check I got from the company was about $16,000. Now, I know there are some people who are like, why are you complaining $16,000? But my level of effort, the same energy it took to create $120,000 is what only paid me $16,000. But if I took that same energy and applied it to my own business, I'd have $120,000. And I was like, and I'm not living the dream that God placed on the inside of me.
Right.
And I think at some point in time, I just was like, okay, I'm done playing. I got to try it. And so I left Mary Kay, started my own business, but I sucked at business when I first started, which led me to filing bankruptcy and getting a job. But you know what? I would do it all again to be in the place that I am today. I've never been this happy. Today I get to make great money, but more than that, I get to help other people figure out how to make their businesses work.
Right.
If you're the sales whisperer, I'm like the business whisperer.
Woo! Well, I mean, I'm glad you brought all that, because there's pros and cons to everything. I mean, a good friend of mine, a mentor, really since 2000, he has always stayed in America.
Mm-hmm.
And, he complains. We all complain. I think it was a military thing too. We at our core got to complain. That's how you know we're alive.
Mm-hmm.
But then, he makes great money, a huge money, but he's working sales his desk.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like you said, going out on your own, Mary Kay, you only got 15% of the commissions of the earnings, but you didn't have all the infrastructure, right, and responsibilities, liability when you went out on your own.
Right.
So it's all everything. Grass is always greener, but still has to be right.
Right.
So what did you learn? Most people, if they jumped on their own, declared bankruptcy, that's it. They would never go back on their own.
Mm-hmm.
What gave you the fire to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, go rebuild, and then go again?
Yeah. So this is going to sound really corny and extremely cliche, but it was the pursuit of purpose. The one thing that never faltered, even in the face of bankruptcy and having to take this little menial job in the grand scheme of my purpose and what I was here to do, it was never bigger than the purpose. Like, I was willing to not have everything that I wanted temporarily to be able to set myself up to get everything that I wanted indefinitely. And knowing my purpose and knowing what I'm here for and not being a quitter, because bankruptcy didn't turn me in the direction of work for somebody else and stifle, sit on my purpose. It made me figure out what I had done wrong so I would never get in that situation again.
Right.
I lived on my credit cards. I had a whole bunch of material possessions that don't really matter much, and I don't live that way anymore. If I can't afford the bill when the bill gets here, then I don't buy it because I don't do that. Right? So I learned a lot in the process, and it also helped me to get clear about what was most important for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you think you want, you probably only want it because somebody else told you you should want it. But most of us don't take the time to go somewhere, get quiet, and figure out what it is that we really want. We are living what our parents said we should be, or what our spouse said we should be, or what our best friend or the person we were college roommates with said we should be, but I was the one who was most likely to succeed said you should be, versus having enough courage to say, you know what, that's all fine and good, but this is what I want. This is what I want for me, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get there.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up because it's so true. It's especially online, social media, the entrepreneur world. It's like based on who runs ads, success is only a big watch, a fancy car, parked next to a private jet, flying to the tropics with an infinity pool.
Right. With your laptop where you spend only 10 minutes a day.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, I'm sure some people do really live that, but are they finding meaning?
Right.
You know, and they are, but if you don't, that's fine. Right. But you had this purpose in the beginning when you're at the Fortune 500 company, and then you're at Mary Kay, then you're on your own, then you're having to rebuild, you're on your own again. Was it always the same purpose, or did that purpose evolve?
No, it was always the same purpose. So when I first went to corporate America, I forgot the purpose. Like I was just, I mean, I'm a kid from the projects. Both my parents were crack addicts at one point in time. And I'm like, tasting success. Let me go get this success. And I forgot about it until December the 17th, 2004, and was like, whoa, this is not what I was supposed to be doing. And I think after that, I didn't forget it, but I kind of sat it to the side for my own endeavors. And what I realized is when you chase anything other than purpose, it'll never last.
So why December 7th?
I don't know. I don't know why. I mean, other than that's the day that I clearly remember that I couldn't do corporate anymore. I had to leave.
Was that the day you resigned?
Mm-hmm. Yep. December 17th, 2004.
So that was the culmination. So things built up and you're like, 2-week notice, I'm out of here.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So now you're on your own, you're established. What are you seeing your clients struggle with? Is there a common theme? Is it fear? Is it lack of clarity? I mean, having a purpose is one thing, but like a lot of times it's not really clear. I want to make the world a better place. Well, I don't know. Make your bed. I mean, don't eat.
Right, exactly.
Right? Don't drink and drive. The world's now a better place. Thank you very much.
Right.
So do they not have detail in that purpose? So it's too generic and they just kind of ender?
So what I see the most amongst my clients, and my clients are by and large high achieving women entrepreneurs. They have, multiple letters behind their names. They're building great businesses. But the biggest struggle that I see, believe it or not, these high achieving women is their confidence. It's confidence in themselves, confidence in their products, confidence in their services, confidence in their ability to have a sales conversation, confidence in their ability to go to a meeting and close the sale. Like if I had to give you one word, I would say it's confidence, or the way that they see themselves. And it's seldom strategy. Often I will give them strategy, right? But it's not the strategy that stops them from not moving ahead. It's not believing that they can enact the strategy.
Right. Yeah, you got to believe. Mm-hmm. Otherwise you won't do it. So how do you give them that confidence?
So, I mean, there's several different things that have to happen. So I think the first and most important thing that I try to get them to do is to see themselves the way that God sees them. So a lot of my work is spiritually based. So I'm really big into combining spiritual principles with business growth strategy. Because again, 9 times out of 10, we don't need new strategies. What we do is we need to get into seeing ourselves differently so that we can show up as powerfully as we really are. It's like the Wizard of Oz, right? Like Dorothy had the power to get back to Kansas the entire time, and she didn't realize it. And that's what I see happening over and over and over again. So a big thing for me is helping them to identify what it is that they are wanting, right? So I think that that's part of it. And sometimes that's where the lack of clarity can be. And then beyond identifying what it is that they want, exposing the gap, right? Because if there's something you want and you don't have it right now, there's clearly a gap, right? So exposing that gap and then being able to see the gap for what it really represents. So it is by and large the mindset work that no one wants to do. I mean, everyone wants to close the sale, but no one wants to understand the psychology of sales. Like that kind of thing, and helping them to do the inner work that's going to produce the outward success that is going to bring them the things that they are craving in whatever area of their life they're wanting to see that. And so that can mean the same thing for everybody. It can be different for everyone. But it is lots of mindset work, lots of work in between the ears.
Mm-hmm. So are your clients, are they not spiritual when they come to you, or is their faith just underdeveloped?
That's a good question. I would say they are spiritual when they come, but their faith is definitely underdeveloped. I don't know that I would have used those words had you not said it, but it resonated immediately. Yeah, their faith is definitely underdeveloped. Most people don't stop to see themselves the way that God sees them, right? So and let's just talk about God, and you can substitute whatever works for you. So if you're a person who says the spirit or source or the universe or whatever word works for you works for me. God's not offended by it, neither am I. So if we just look at the entity, the force, the being that is greater than us all, that created this universe that we all get to live and move in every single day, that is the truest.
That sounds like my mom.
Well, yeah, maybe, right?
All right.
Representation of abundance, right? And all things abundance. If we think about whatever we describe or call that thing, however we are connected to that entity, and we envisioned that entity were describing us to someone else, what are the things that entity would say? Right? They'd say, you're powerful. You're unbelievable. You're brilliant. You're intelligent. The way they put things together, it just blows my mind. They're such a great creation. But most people have a disconnect. We don't see ourselves that way, which impacts our confidence, which is the reason why we keep sitting behind a desk and complaining about the things we don't love and we settle for a paycheck. If money is your driver, you're always going to be missing something. Because money doesn't keep you warm at night. Money doesn't create love for you. It doesn't give you sense of purpose or meaning. All it does is give you things. But the way we get a sense of meaning and purpose is through being connected to something that is greater than ourselves. And then from that vantage point, looking at ourselves and kind of being awed at what was created in us. Mm-hmm. And then we have confidence enough to go out and position ourselves and our prices in such a way that when people invest in themselves through us, we get more because nothing is being held back from us. But most of us were not raised in an environment where we were taught to think that way, or we are still living, as I talk about in my TED Talk, the 7-year-old version of ourselves is still running the show. And as a result of that, we're missing out on life because most of the images that we experienced from birth to the age of 7 were not life affirming and positive. They were negative, and they created all of the that is who we are today. And most of us don't know how to stop the tape.
Is this a hard journey for most people?
That's a great question.
It would seem like if they're showing up, they're ready to receive.
Yeah.
But I know of people, I made a quick short post about this just last week. The human mind is structured to win, even at losing. Because a lot of people, see, I never get a deal. See, I never win at bingo. See, I don't know why I take golf lessons. I'm going to slice the ball. See, and like,
right.
Like we're winning at losing.
Yeah.
So do they show up and still drag their feet so they can be a victim, or do they embrace it and confidently go forward?
I think it depends. Sometimes, if we're talking specifically about my clients, I don't allow them to be a victim. I create pattern interrupts. But if we're talking about society as a whole, then some of them are going to validate whatever it is that they were believing, right? So I love to use this as an example. The way I learned how to spell the word believe is through a mnemonic device. There's a lie in believe, right? And so most of us, our lives are filled with all of the lies we have been believing, whether we created them ourselves or somebody else created them and handed them down to us. And most of us are one hand-me-down after another because when we're born, we do not have a conscious mind. We only have a subconscious mind. And our conscious mind is created based on what our subconscious observes from birth to the age of 7. And most of that is negative, disempowering, and life not powerful, right? And then that's who we become. We consistently play those tapes. That's why we show up as victim. That's why there's an excuse for everything. That's why there's a justification when things don't go the way that we want, because deep down inside, what we really believed is that we never deserved to have that in the first place.
Why do you say
cycle?
Why do you say until age 7? I thought it was like everything was roses when we're, and then we get into school and then it's no, and it's wrap your knuckles with the ruler when you get something wrong. Mm-hmm. Makes us kind of retract and pull into our shell.
Well, that can happen after, but when we're born, and this is psychology. So when we're born, we know nothing. We're sponges. We're literally a sponge. If you can remember either currently having small children or when your children were small, anything you said, they repeated it. If you cussed, they cussed. They didn't even realize what they were doing. They didn't know it was bad, but because that's what they observed from mom or dad or aunt or uncle or whomever, they thought that was cool and that was reality, and that's what they did, which is how we got the saying, kids say the darndest things, right? So who you are going to be as a person, according to psychology, has been entirely formed by the age of 7. That could be a great thing if you happen to come from an empowering environment, or if you come from where I come from, that could be a bad thing. Unless you have somebody at the school age that pulls you out of that. So for me, I had Miss Dixon. She was my 5th and 6th grade teacher, and she saw potential in me, and she didn't let me become what happened to many of my brothers and sisters because of my parents. But most of us aren't surrounded by people who are willing to take the chance and to face the possible rejection or the challenge or the stigma to snatch a child out of their own way to help them to see their purpose and potential of what it is. Because we could argue that I think we're in the 2nd grade by the time we're age 7, that kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade could alter anything that you experienced at home from birth to the age of 4 if you were in an empowering education environment with the teacher who really cared about your possibilities and your potential.
Yeah, I'm trying to find this a buddy of mine just sent me the David Goggins book, You Can't Me. Mm-hmm. Have you heard of that one?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, that Navy SEAL. He talked about it. He was enrolled for a short time in this little Catholic school. He said there was this little nun. I was lucky enough to have Sister Catherine as my teacher. Short and petite, Sister Catherine was 60 years old and had one gold front tooth. She was a nun, but didn't wear a habit. She was also grumpy as hell and took no shit. And I love dog ass. She tore it, but she loved him. Right? And it was interesting. He said he learned that not everybody with a scowl is mean, and not everybody that wears a smile is worthy. Mm-hmm. All right, because he's talking about all the people he's been lying to, their smile, especially salespeople. I always say, how a salesperson's lying, their lips are moving.
Yeah.
And now we end up in sales. So, yeah, he had to overcome a lot. But so when your clients come to you, because I know I do this, and a good friend of mine here in Murrieta, I've known her for 15 years, the whole time I've lived here. Mm-hmm. I mean, as soon as I knew her, she had a business. She had an office, staff, and it was years later, and I learned, of her low self, because she didn't have a college degree. Right? And it's like, I didn't know she didn't have a college degree. I didn't care that she had a college degree. I didn't know, I didn't care because I didn't ask. Like, you got a business, you got staff, you're growing. Like, suck it up.
Right.
Embrace it and go. And she's finally launched another business and, but why? It's just society. Is that just, because that seems to be the norm instead of the exception.
Mm-hmm.
That we're beat down, lacking confidence, blah, blah, blah. And so many people I've had so many. This is the 355th at least episode. I can't tell you people I've spoken to that lost it all. Sometimes multiple times before they found that trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
How can we grow without hitting rock bottom?
Wow, that is a powerful question. So how can we grow without hitting rock bottom? So I would say be open to, so let me describe it this way. So I think that when I think in terms of what keeps us from growth, there are the things that we know we don't know, right? Like I know I don't know Japanese. Okay. There are the things that we are ashamed to admit we don't know. Right? Like, I don't know how to go in and enter something in QuickBooks. I mean, maybe I should be ashamed of that.
Good for you.
I have a
Stay
bookkeeper
away.
and an accountant, right? So
there you go. That's all you need.
There are the things we don't even know we don't know.
Right.
But we all have this need, and back to the need, this whole Maslow's hierarchy of needs, this need to feel important and to feel like we matter. So we posture up and pretend as if the things we know, the things that we don't even know we don't know, we really do know them, because to show weakness would mean that there's something wrong with us. To be vulnerable would lead people to believe that we're not experts or we can't possibly do anything right. And we'd much rather stay face over appearing to be something that we're not than to get the help that we really need.
Right.
So to answer your question, how do we grow without all of that stuff? Be open. Realize that there are things that you don't know, and find the person, the mentor, the coach, the consultant, the whisperer that is able to teach you, that resonates with you and can bring into your life experience the things that you don't even know that you don't know, so that you can take that and add that to what you know and leverage both of them together to experience the growth that you want in your life. That's why coaching and consulting as an industry is $87 billion. And maybe it's even more than the last time I checked the numbers. But it's because there's a viability in being open to getting the support and guidance that you need to move forward, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's this innate need for all of us to realize, hey, there are things that I don't know and somebody else does know them, and I should humble myself and go access them. In doing so doesn't make me any less of an expert, any less of a great whatever I happen to be, but I'm an expert in this thing. I'm not an expert in all things.
So, because you brought that, it's basically pride. Mm-hmm. Right? I would say pride holds it,
yeah. And for what? This makes me mad. Like, for what? It's not serving to be prideful. Right? I remember when I was younger, my grandmother used to always say, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. And when you're prideful, it's like you have a closed mouth. You're going to miss a meal because you'd rather hold as if you have something than to admit that you need help. That's so whack. Thumbs down.
I talk to people all the time. I'm like, you need to have a notebook, a checklist, prospects. You're going to reference it so you don't miss anything. And I'll get back. I'm like, when you get on an airplane and you look left, you look up in that deck, and there's not one but two pilots. They both have identical checklists, mm-hmm. and they're holding each other accountable as they go through that checklist, which they can repeat from memory. They've done it thousands of times. Do you feel like they are unprofessional or professional for having the discipline to have a checklist and B, follow it? Mm-hmm. I feel better if they have it. Like, how come you don't have one? They don't want to take notes. They don't prepare questions in advance. Like, do they feel like they're an amateur because they can't pop things out of their head? What's wrong with people? Do you have to give them some tough love sometimes?
Oh, all the time. Yeah, I mean, like, I tell people out front, like, I used to threaten my clients because I have to create the pattern interrupt. It's like the same reason why Tony Robbins drops the F-bomb like it's going out of style. It's because you've got to get them out of their pattern, whatever the pattern is, and you find your own way to do it. But yeah, absolutely. I think the best quote I ever heard, and it was a football guy who said it, but I think it resonates in what we today call coaching, is coaches tell you what you don't want to hear and show you what you don't want to see, also that you can become who God created you to be. So my job is not to pacify or placate you. My job is to get in your ass to make sure that you take the actions you need to take, because the world is counting on you. Mm-hmm. And I think we have a responsibility. If we're going to do this work, if we're going to help other people solve their problems, we have to commit to doing whatever it takes to get them out of their own way, because the world is waiting on them.
Mm-hmm. That's true. All right. Final question. Mm-hmm. You ready for it?
Yeah, I'm a little nervous, but I'm ready.
I'm really ready for it. So imagine our listeners they're driving, they're digging, they're on a plane, they can't do something with this right now. Mm-hmm. But as soon as they can, maybe they're sitting at their desk and can do what's one thing they should do immediately as a result of listening to this to move the needle?
Yeah. Oh gosh, you asked the best questions. One thing that they should do as soon as they can to move the needle is to get to a quiet place where there are no distractions and unapologetically get clear on the vision that they have for their life because of their business.
Okay. Because of your business. Is it possible to work at a job, maybe that Fortune 500 credit card company? Maybe the job isn't all that fulfilling, but maybe it pays really well, has benefits, blah, blah, blah. And that the funnel or the source for them, maybe they're a pastor at their church on the side, right, or a deacon, or they enables them to be a volunteer at Boys and Girls Club or something. Mm-hmm. So is your focus always on helping with the business or creating that purpose, even if it's out of the day job?
So I do work exclusively with entrepreneurs and small business owners. But to answer your question, if your job is a purpose raising opportunity, then that's great. As long as you're not settling. So if you're clear that you're doing this job day in and day out, and it affords you the opportunity to show up and serve the way that you really want to show up and serve, and right, there is no complaint and you feel really, really good about it, and you're warm and fuzzy all the time, have at it. The day that you start complaining about whether or not the job is actually helping to meet the needs for the other areas of your life, then I would caution you to pay close attention and identify if there's something that needs to be adjusted. So it could be another job, or it could be entrepreneurship. Personally, my lane is teaching you how to leverage entrepreneurship to fund the life that you crave. Right. But if you are an employee, I'm not going to suggest that you walk away, because it's not easy. Right. It's not sunshine and rabbits all day.
Right. It's more like finding squirrels.
Right, exactly. Way more like it. It's not for the faint at heart. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. Those of you who feel called to it, there's a sense of responsibility to figure out how to do it and do it well so that you can be an example for others. But if you're not called to it, know that. And the sooner you learn that, like I've had clients who've come to work with me and realized that they needed to get a job. And I celebrate that as much as the person who takes their business to $1 million, because entrepreneurship is not for everyone. Yeah. And if it's not for you, you want to know before you waste money and energy and sanity trying to figure out how to make something work or how to fit a round peg into a square hole. Like if it's not for you, it's not for you.
Yeah, that's all. Everybody, let somebody else dictate, like you said at the beginning. Tell them what it is. I remember years ago, I was working with a sales manager who said, don't let other people spend your commission check. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, you're going to get these fat commissions. You should buy a big car. It's like, if they're not willing to die for you, don't let them live.
Yeah.
You know, get after it. All right. Well, we are linking to your TEDx talk, linking to your website. So it's incredibleoneenterprise.com.
Yep.
Right. You've got various programs, coaching, consulting, $1 million businesses, home study programs, grow your biz toolkit, your keynote speaker, a lot of things to find you here. So Darnyelle, Harmon, all Delaware. I hope you're staying warm out there.
It's really
Thanks
cold
for coming
here.
on this.
It's really cold.
I tell people, so right now in California, I got socks on with my flip-flops. I mean, I feel pain.
You don't know cold in California. Let me just tell you, like, it is so cold outside. I think it was like 7 degrees today, maybe. You don't know anything about that, Wes. And you should keep it that way.
Just ain't right. All right. Darnyelle, thanks for coming on Sales Podcast. It's been great.
Thanks, Wes. Appreciate it.
Set your pride aside to hit your stride. Amen. Told you it's going to be good. I wonder why do so many people have to hit rock bottom to figure things out? It doesn't have to be that hard. You know, I've been doing a lot of research and reading and listening and pondering. And, you know, I'm reading this book talking about how the mind is great at winning, even if it's great at winning at losing. We want to be right, even if it's an idiotic thing to be right about. Oh, I never win anything. Oh, I never catch my traffic lights. Yeah, I always get the worst piece of chicken. I mean, whatever. I always slice my ball. I can never win in those competing with those guys. So we win at losing. We talk ourselves into and we create this negative world. And then once we're finally sick and tired of being sick and tired, we dig deep, we do what it takes, we apply the discipline, and we achieve our goals. Why is it you hear all these stories, right? People hitting rock bottom, and then they double down. A friend of mine got me the book by David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me. A retired Navy SEAL. He went through Air Force training. He went through the Rangers. He went through Hell Week 3 times. And they call him the hardest man alive or toughest man alive, whatever. And, you know, he hit rock bottom. And when he was sick and tired of being sick and tired, his discipline was unbelievable. That's what happens, though. When you don't have a little discipline in the beginning, you need a lot of discipline at the end to make up and catch up. So the sooner you start being disciplined, the better things are going to be. Okay, so either enjoy where you are, be comfortable where you are in the mediocre majority, or find the discipline and double down. If you need someone to help do that, you know, David found a recruiter that believed in him and that pushed him. You know, I think I'm chapter 3 of the book, so I'll talk about it more later. But, you know, he found someone that believed in him, and he was battling against all odds. He had to lose 106 pounds in 90 days to have a shot at joining the Navy and then going into BUDS training for the SEALs. But he had someone that believed in him. So who's in your corner? And you know what? My dad had to put a stake around my neck to get my puppy to play with me. So look, if you got to pay to have friends, that's fine. We've all done it, okay? A lot of guys you know about, guys and gals, they paid to join the right clubs, to meet the right people, the right masterminds, the right mentors. I have hired mentors since the early 2000s. I think around 2002 was my first one. I pay people to pick their brain and to accelerate my learning curve, to shorten my learning curve, to accelerate my learning. You need to do the same thing. Have the confidence in yourself to invest in yourself. It's always been the best payoff, best ROI for me. You want to hang out with me? MakeEverySale.com. If you want one-on-one training, go to the website, thesaleswhisperer.com. Click on the sales, click on private training, private coaching, and you can set a time with me to talk about it. See if it's right for you. It's not right for everybody. It's more expensive. It does include access to the Make Every Sale program, so it is kind of a 2-for-1. But I do that for a limited number of people. It's limited because I can't. It's not scalable, right? I can't serve an unlimited number of people. Make Every Sale program, I could serve 1 million people, right? Simultaneously. I can't do that one-on-one. So that's why it's more expensive, because it takes more of my time, and my time is scarce, just like yours. But it is good for some of you. So check that out if you're interested. All right? MakeEverySale.com. As always, thanks for listening. Please leave a review. Please subscribe. That helps. The more downloads, the more this bubbles up. The more it bubbles up, the better the guests I get. The more sales I make. The more sales I make through the community and sponsorship, the more I can give of myself for free. Okay? So it all does help. Now go sell something.